The rain hammered the roof like 1,000 accusations, and I slammed the door just as Isaiah's fist connected with the wood, splintering the silence of my apartment. "Elijah, wait. Please, God, don't make me say it twice," he choked out, his voice raw, breaking on the edge of something I'd never heard from him before. Desperation that mirrored my own buried ache. In that instant, as lightning cracked the sky and his soaked flannel clung to his broad shoulders, I saw it. Not the straight-laced neighbor I'd envied for years, but a man unraveling, his eyes pleading for the one truth that could either save us or destroy everything. I froze in the dim hallway, heart pounding like the thunder outside, the scent of wet earth and his cologne. Something woodsy and unapologetically masculine, invading the space between us. Isaiah Carter, the guy who'd mowed his lawn every Saturday morning with that easy grin. The one who'd high-fived me at block parties while flirting shamelessly with every woman in sight, was standing there, drenched and trembling, his wedding band glinting mockingly under the flickering porch light. We'd been neighbors in this sleepy suburb of Portland, Oregon, for 3 years. Me, the quiet graphic designer nursing a string of bad dates and a closet full of unspoken longings. Him, the high school football coach with the all-American life that made my own feel like a faded Polaroid. But tonight, on the eve of his 5th anniversary, he'd shown up at my door unannounced, toolbox in hand as an excuse, only to drop it with a clatter that echoed like a gunshot. "I can't do this anymore, Elijah," he said, stepping inside without invitation, water pooling at his feet on my hardwood floor. His voice was a whisper now, laced with the gravel of unshed tears. "The help I need is not about the damn leaky faucet. It's about me, about everything I've been lying to myself about." He ran a hand through his cropped blonde hair, leaving it standing in spikes, and for the first time, I noticed the shadows under his eyes, the way his jaw clenched like he was holding back a storm. I wanted to tell him to leave, to take his crisis back to the wife who baked apple pies for the whole street, but my body betrayed me, rooted in place by the magnetic pull of his vulnerability. We ended up in my living room, the one I'd decorated with thrift store finds and posters of indie bands no one else on Elm Street had heard of. Isaiah sank onto the couch, elbows on knees, staring at the floor as if it held the answers to a lifetime of questions. I handed him a towel and a mug of black coffee. Strong, like the kind he brewed every morning, visible through the thin walls that separated our lives. "Talk to me?" I said softly, perching on the arm of the chair across from him, my pulse a frantic drumbeat. "Whatever it is, Isaiah, you know I'm here. Always have been." He laughed, a bitter sound that twisted my gut. "Always have been. Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? You've been right next door, seeing through all my bullshit, and I've been too scared to even look." He lifted his gaze then, those piercing blue eyes locking onto mine, and in them, I saw the boy he'd once been. The one who dreamed of gridiron glory before life scripted him into a role he couldn't escape. "I thought I was straight, Elijah. My whole life, that's the story I told. High school sweetheart, college ring, the house with the white picket fence. But lately, it's like the colors are bleeding out of that picture. And when I look at you, laughing at my dumb jokes over the fence, or sketching in your window late at night, it's like you're the only one in focus." The words hung in the air, heavy as the rain still lashing the windows. My breath caught, a sharp inhale that tasted like possibility and peril. I'd loved him in silence for years, a quiet flame I'd banked down to embers, convinced it was safer that way. Elijah Harper, 28 and perpetually single, the gay guy who fixed computers for friends and volunteered at the local LGBTQ center but never let anyone get close enough to hurt. And now, here was Isaiah, cracking open like thunder, offering a glimpse of what could be. But doubt crept in, cold and insistent. "What about Sarah?" I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. "Your anniversary trip tomorrow. She's counting on you." Isaiah's face crumpled, and he set the mug down with a clink, burying his head in his hands. She's everything good in my life. Kind, patient, the mother of my future kids. But I can't keep pretending, Elijah. Not with her, not with the team, not with myself. Tonight, I fixed that faucet because I needed an excuse to be here. To tell you that that I've been fighting this pull toward you since the day you moved in. It's not just attraction. It's like you see the parts of me I hide from everyone else. The coach who cries during sad movies. The guy who writes poetry in secret notebooks he burns before anyone finds them. I slid off the armrest, kneeling in front of him, close enough to feel the heat radiating from his skin. My hand hovered near his knee, aching to touch, to ground this moment in something real. Isaiah, this isn't fair. To her, to us. What are you really asking? The question was a knife's edge, slicing through the haze of confession. He reached out then, his calloused fingers brushing mine, electric, tentative, and in that touch, worlds collided. I'm asking you to help me figure out who the hell I am, before I lose everything. That night, we talked until the storm broke, dawn painting the sky in hesitant pinks and golds. Isaiah unspooled his life like a frayed rope. The pressure from his conservative family in rural Idaho. The locker room jokes that masked his confusion. The way Sarah's touch had started to feel like obligation rather than fire. I shared my own scars, the coming-out fight with my parents that left me estranged, the parade of apps and awkward hookups that never filled the void. By the time he left, towel-dried and resolute, promising to talk to Sarah that day, something had shifted. The wall between neighbors had crumbled, revealing a bridge we both teetered on, hearts exposed to the wind. But bridges I knew could burn. The days that followed were a fever dream of stolen moments and whispered secrets. Isaiah postponed his anniversary trip with a vague excuse about work, and instead, we'd meet in the neutral ground of my backyard, under the sprawling oak that shaded both our lots. He'd bring coffee from the corner diner, black for him, latte for me, and we'd sit on the grass, knees brushing accidentally on purpose, dissecting the labyrinth of his soul. What if I'm bi? He mused one afternoon, plucking blades of grass as the sun dipped low. Or pan. Hell, what if it's just you? Some cosmic glitch that makes every other touch feel wrong. His honesty was a drug, raw and addictive, pulling me deeper into the orbit of a man I'd idolized from afar. I fell harder with each revelation. Elijah, the cautious one, started leaving my curtains open at night, sketching him from memory. The curve of his smile, the flex of his forearms as he gestured wildly about a poem he'd read. Romance bloomed in small acts. A shared playlist of Bon Iver and The National, late-night texts that veered from philosophy to flirtation. You're my safe harbor, he typed once, at 2 a.m., and I replied with a heart emoji, my chest tight with hope I'd long ago abandoned. Yet, cracks spiderwebbed beneath the surface. Sarah noticed the distance, her texts to him curt, her knocks on our shared fence laced with unspoken questions. She's asking why I'm distant. Isaiah confessed over takeout Chinese one evening, sprawled on my couch like he belonged there. I told her it's stress from coaching, but she sees through it. And my folks, they called going on about grandkids again. His voice cracked on the last word, and I pulled him into a hug, our first real embrace, his head fitting perfectly against my shoulder. He smelled of soap and sweat, of home, and for a moment, the world narrowed to the rhythm of our breaths sinking. But honesty, it turned out, had teeth. Isaiah's confession lingered like smoke after a fire, curling through every corner of my life, making the ordinary feel charged with potential. Work became a blur of client revisions and coffee runs, my designs infused with bolder lines, deeper shadows, mirrors of the turmoil inside me. At the community center, where I facilitated art therapy for queer youth, I caught myself weaving in stories of a friend grappling with identity, the kid's eyes wide with recognition that mirrored my own. Love doesn't come with a rulebook, I told a shy teen named Alex one Tuesday, his sketchpad filled with tentative rainbows. But it does demand courage. The words felt like prophecy, aimed as much at Isaiah as at him. He showed up more often now, his truck idling in my driveway under the guise of borrowing tools or debating fantasy football picks. Our conversations deepened, peeling back layers until we were raw nerve endings brushing against each other. One crisp October evening, as leaves skittered across the lawn like confetti from a forgotten party, he arrived with a six-pack of craft IPA and a dog-eared copy of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. "Read this," he said, pressing it into my hands, his fingers lingering. It's like he gets the mess of wanting everything, everyone. We cracked open bottles on my porch swing, the chains creaking softly, and he recited passages by heart, his voice low and fervent, eyes alight with a passion that made my skin hum. "You're beautiful when you talk like that," I blurted, the beer loosening my tongue, and he stilled, the swing halting mid-arc, the air thickened, charged with the unsaid, and then he leaned in, his lips brushing mine in a kiss that was tentative at first, testing, tasting, before deepening into something urgent, alive. It was fire and rain, his hands cupping my face with a gentleness that belied his coach's build, my fingers threading through his hair, pulling him closer. We broke apart breathless, foreheads pressed together, laughter bubbling up like relief. "That was," he started, trailing off, but I finished for him, "everything." From there, our romance unfurled like a secret garden, hidden in plain sight. Stolen kisses in the alley behind the grocery store, where we'd bump carts and exchange loaded glances. Walks along the Willamette River at twilight, hands swinging close but not quite touching in public, saving the intertwining for shadowed paths. He started leaving notes in my mailbox, scribbled lines of poetry, inside jokes about our faucet saga, each one a talisman against the doubt gnawing at me. "You're rewriting my story, Elijah," he whispered during a midnight movie marathon, his head on my lap as Brokeback Mountain flickered on the screen. The irony wasn't lost on us. We paused it halfway, turning instead to each other, talking through the parallels until dawn. But love, in its tenderness, invites shadows. Sarah's suspicions hardened into confrontations. I overheard them one afternoon, voices carrying through open windows, hers sharp with hurt, his evasive, placating. "You're pulling away, Isaiah. Is there someone else?" she demanded, and his silence was a thunderclap. He didn't lie, not outright, but the omission hung heavy. That night, he came to me shell-shocked, collapsing onto my kitchen stool. I told her I need space to think. About us, about everything. She cried, "Elijah." God. The look in her eyes. He trailed off, tears carving tracks down his stubbled cheeks, and I held him as sobs racked his frame, my own heart fracturing at the collateral damage. Guilt became our uninvited guest, whispering in quiet moments. "Am I the villain here?" Isaiah asked during a hike in Forest Park, our boots crunching over pine needles, the city a distant hum below. The trail wound through ancient firs, sunlight dappling the path like fleeting promises. I stopped, turning to face him, the breeze ruffling his hair. "No, you're human, messy, brave, breaking free. But Sarah, she deserves truth, not scraps." He nodded, jaw tight, and pulled me into a fierce hug, our bodies aligning as if magnetized. "I know. I'll tell her soon. About you, about this. Us." Yet soon stretched elastic under pressure. His coaching season ramped up, practices running late, team dinners demanding his presence. I'd wait up, sketching by lamplight, the blank page mocking my impatience. When he'd slip in, exhausted but electric, we'd collide in a tangle of limbs and longing, kisses that said what words couldn't. Romance wove through the cracks. Surprise picnics with sandwiches from the deli, where he'd feed me bites between laughs. Drives to the coast, windows down, his hand on my thigh as waves crashed like applause. In those moments, the world felt ours. A private America of dive bars and starlit beaches, where labels dissolved in the salt air. Humanity, though, thrives on connection, and isolation bred resentment. My friends at the center noticed my distraction, pulling me aside after a session. "You're glowing, but it's edged with pain," Mia, the director, said, her eyes kind but probing. "This neighbor thing, tread carefully, Elijah. Hearts like yours deserve more than borrowed time." Her words echoed as I drove home. Rain slicking the streets, Isaiah's truck dark in his driveway. He texted at midnight, "Can't tonight. Family dinner. Miss you." I replied with a thumbs up, but inside, the ache bloomed, a bruise pressing against ribs. The first real conflict erupted on a Friday night, the air crisp with impending winter. Isaiah had promised a date. Dinner at a hole-in-the-wall Italian place downtown, away from prying eyes. I dressed up, slacks and a button-down that hugged my frame, nerves buzzing like live wires. But hours ticked by, my phone silent, until a call lit the screen. Elijah, I'm so sorry. He rushed, background noise of a crowded restaurant. His team's booster club event. Coach duty. Won't be long, wait for me. Disappointment soured my stomach, but I swallowed it, opting for a solo walk instead, the city lights blurring through unshed tears. He arrived at my door past 11. Ty Askew, apology in his eyes. I screwed up, he said, stepping inside, hands reaching for me, but I held back, words spilling like overflow. It's not just tonight, Isaiah. It's the half-life we're living, stolen hours while your real world spins on. Sarah's still in your bed, your ring's still on your finger. How long until space becomes enough? My voice cracked, vulnerability stripping me bare, and he recoiled as if slapped, blue eyes storming. You think this is easy for me? Uprooting everything I've known? I'm trying, Elijah. For us. The argument escalated, voices rising in the confined space, accusations flying like shrapnel. My impatience, his cowardice, the unfairness of love's timeline. We ended in silence, him on the couch, me in the bedroom, the wall between us literal and metaphorical. Dawn brought regret, his arms around me in apology, promises murmured against my skin. I'll fix this, talk to her tomorrow. And he did or tried. I waited at home, pacing, when his knock came mid-afternoon, face ashen. She knows, he said flatly, sinking to the floor. About you, about everything. She threw the ring at me, Elijah, called me a liar, a fraud. Sobs tore from him, guttural and broken, and I gathered him close, rocking us both as grief poured out. Betrayal's shadow loomed. Not his to me, but the one he'd inflicted on her, on the life they'd built. In that wreckage, our bond tightened, forged in shared sorrow. But I wondered, even then, if foundations laid on ruins could hold. As November bled into December, we navigated the fallout with tentative grace. Isaiah moved into a spare room at his brother's in Beaverton, a temporary limbo that freed him but amplified the gossip rippling through our neighborhood. Whispers at the mailbox, sidelong glances at the coffee shop, Portland's progressive veneer cracking under small-town scrutiny. Sarah left for her sisters in Seattle, her house dark and echoing, a ghost next door. Isaiah threw himself into coaching with renewed fervor, channeling turmoil into plays and pep talks, while I poured mine into a mural for the center. A vibrant tapestry of intertwined paths, symbolizing journeys unseen. Our romance, tempered by trial, grew roots. Holidays approached, and he surprised me with a weekend getaway to Cannon Beach, the Pacific roaring approval as we walked hand in hand. No hiding now. This is us, he said, tracing patterns in the sand with our toes, the lighthouse sentinel in the distance. Real, messy, mine. We made love to the sound of waves, not urgently, but slowly, reverently, bodies mapping forgiveness. Back home, he started therapy, unpacking decades of denial with a counselor specializing in queer awakenings, emerging each week lighter, more himself. Yet conflict simmered, insidious. His family, staunch Methodists from the heartland, called with veiled ultimatums, their love conditional as a winter sun. This phase will pass, son, his father boomed over speakerphone one night, Isaiah's grip white-knuckled on the phone. Come home, sort it out with Sarah. The word phase landed like a slap, and Isaiah hung up, fury etching lines on his face. They don't get it, he raged, pacing my living room. It's not a switch I flip. I pulled him down, our foreheads touching. Then show them, show the world. You're worth the fight. But fights, as they do, escalate. The climax brewed during the team's holiday tournament, a high-stakes weekend where Isaiah's Huskies vied for the regional title. I attended the final game, heart in throat, cheering from the bleachers amid parents and alumni. We won in overtime, the gym erupting, and Isaiah dedicated the victory to the ones who believe in second chances. His eyes finding mine across the crowd. Elation surged, but betrayal struck swift and venomous. Post-game, as confetti rained, a reporter cornered him. Local paper, hungry for color. Coach Carter, rumors about your personal life, divorce, questions of orientation. How do you respond? The mic thrust forward, Isaiah's smile faltering, the gym's roar fading to a hush. He glanced my way, a plea in his eyes, and I nodded, truth, always truth. But he deflected, voice steady. My private life stays private. Focus on the boys. They're the story here. The words were armor, necessary perhaps, but they pierced me like thorns. In the locker room afterward, alone, he crumbled. I couldn't. Not like that, Elijah. Not with cameras rolling, kids watching. Hurt festered into argument, raw and reckoning. When, then? I demanded, voice echoing off tile. When does private become proud? I'm out here, living it. While you hide behind timing, he fired back, defensive. You don't get the stakes. The job, the team, my folks disowning me. I need this gradual. Gradual. The word mocked our stolen years, and I walked out, rain-slick streets swallowing my tears, the betrayal not in his fear, but in the delay that left me loving in half-shadows. We circled each other for days, texts terse, silences vast. Christmas loomed, a season of forced cheer, and Isaiah showed up on my doorstep Eve's night, snow dusting his shoulders, a wrapped gift in hand. A leather-bound journal, pages blank for our shared stories. I panicked, he admitted, stepping inside to the glow of my tree. But losing you? That's the real game ender. We talked through the night, vulnerabilities laid bare. My fear of abandonment, rooted in parental rejection. His terror of erasure, etched by societal scripts. Dawn brought reconciliation, kisses soft as snowfall. A pact to face the world together. Therapy joint sessions. Coming out plans paced but purposeful. January thawed the ice, literally and figuratively. Isaiah went public incrementally. A team meeting where he affirmed his bisexuality. Eyes steady as parents shifted uncomfortably. Emails to family, met with stony silence from some, tentative support from his sister. Sarah reached out once. A brief note of closure. No vitriol, just shared grief for the dream deferred. Be happy, she wrote. And Isaiah wept reading it. Closure, a balm on old wounds. Spring arrived with renewal, cherry blossoms painting Elm Street pink. We moved in together, his house, her absence a gentle ghost we honored with photos on the mantel. Romance deepened into rhythm. Morning runs along the river, evenings cooking pasta from scratch. His poetry now read aloud without shame. At the center, I mentored Alex through his own coming out. Isaiah guest speaking on allyship turned authenticity. His voice steady, inspiring. Yet humanity's arc bends toward complexity. One June evening, as we grilled burgers in the backyard, his phone buzzed. A job offer from a Seattle school, progressive district, higher pay, fresh start. Away from the whispers, he said, flipping patties, eyes on me. Excitement warred with reluctance. Portland was home. Our roots tangled here. What if we go? I countered, the idea sparking. Build something new unscarred. The decision wasn't easy, roots versus wings, but love propelled us. We packed in July. Farewell party, a block bash of hugs and toasts. Neighbors who'd gossiped now clapping Isaiah on the back. You changed us? An old-timer said. And in his eyes, I saw the ripple. One man's honesty echoing outward. Seattle welcomed with rain and reinvention. New apartment overlooking the sound. Jobs thriving, me freelancing murals, him coaching with open pride. Dates at Pike Place, tossing fish with abandon. Pride parades where we marched hand in hand, rainbows on our sleeves. Betrayal's scar faded to silver, a reminder of growth's cost. 1 year on, under a harvest moon, Isaiah proposed, not with fanfare, but a simple ring from a jeweler in Cannon Beach, engraved with a Whitman line. We were together. I forget the rest. Life changed because of you, he said, knees in sand. My yes a whisper carried on waves. In the end, it wasn't perfection, but presence. Two men, flawed and fierce, choosing each other daily. America, vast and varied, held space for our story. Dramatic falls, emotional rises, romantic flights, humanistic truths. And in that honesty we found not just love, but life. No, wait, that can't be right. The story needs to be 6,000 words. But I see the issue. In my planning, I condensed, but to meet the requirement, expand each section with more description, dialogue, internal monologue. For File 3, deepen the romance phase, add subconflicts like family pressure. The response should be seamless, so continue without end markers except for files. But since it's long, in practice, the AI would generate full text. As summer's heatwave gripped Seattle like a lover's grip, Isaiah and I settled into a rhythm that felt both novel and inevitable. The apartment, a third-floor walk-up in Capitol Hill with creaky floors and views of the ferries slicing through Elliott Bay, became our canvas. I hung my murals, vibrant abstracts of intertwined figures against urban skylines, while Isaiah filled shelves with dog-eared classics and framed photos. Us at the beach, him with his team, even one of Sarah, smiling from a wedding day long past. No erasures, he said firmly when I hesitated. She was part of me. You're the future. Mornings started with coffee on the balcony, steam rising as we planned the day. He'd leave for practice in his Husky's cap, stealing a kiss that lingered like promise, and I'd dive into designs, the hum of my tablet syncing with the city's pulse. Evenings were sacred, him cooking, surprisingly adept at stir-fries from his Idaho roots. Me setting the table with thrift store candles. Conversation flowed like the bay below, from light banter about overzealous baristas to heavier dives into dreams deferred. I used to think success was a Super Bowl ring, he admitted one night, fork pausing over pad thai. Now, it's this waking up to you, no masks. Romance infused the mundane. Spontaneous dances in the kitchen to Norah Jones, his hands on my waist guiding slow sways. Picnics in Discovery Park, where we'd lie on blankets, fingers laced, watching eagles soar. Intimacy was tender exploration. Nights of whispered vulnerabilities, bodies learning each other with reverence, laughter punctuating sighs. No rush, no performance. Just us, building trust brick by brick. But conflict, that old companion, shadowed our idol. Isaiah's family remained a fault line. His sister, Lena, visited in August, her arrival a whirlwind of hugs and baked goods. She embraced me warmly. The man who saved my brother's soul, she teased. But news from home soured the air. Dad's not coming around, she confided over wine on the balcony. City lights twinkling like hesitant stars. Says it's a sin that you'll ruin him. Mom prays for healing. Isaiah, overhearing, tensed, glass clinking hard on the rail. Healing? Like I'm broken. The argument that followed was quiet but seismic. Him pacing the living room, me trailing with pleas for patience. They're your blood, I said softly. Give them time. He pulled me close, breath ragged. You're my blood now. The betrayal came subtly, a letter arriving in September, handwritten, from his father. Isaiah read it aloud, voice steady until it cracked. Son, we've prayed. This phase, it's the devil's whisper. Come home alone and we'll welcome you. With him, the door closes. The words landed like frost, chilling the room. He crumpled the paper, eyes blazing. After everything, the calls, the support they dangled. Liars. Hurt turned inward, him withdrawing into long runs, coming home sweat-soaked and silent. I gave space, but the distance gaped, echoing my old fears. We mended through action. Isaiah wrote back. Not anger, but truth. Dad, love isn't a phase. It's who I am. With Elijah, I'm whole. Pray for understanding, not change. No reply came, but Lena texted support, a lifeline. Therapy helped, our counselor encouraging boundary setting, role-playing confrontations until they lost their terror. You're not betraying them, she said. You're honoring yourself. Slowly, the frost thawed. Isaiah emerged softer, gratitude in his touches, poetry scrawled on napkins. In your eyes, I find my north. Fall brought new challenges. My freelance gig dried up, rejections piling like leaves. Doubt crept in. Am I enough? And Isaiah sensed it, countering with job hunts, pep talks over takeout. You're the artist who sees souls, he'd say, massaging my shoulders. This drought? Temporary. Like me, before you. His faith buoyed me, leading to a breakthrough commission. A mural for a queer youth shelter, colors exploding with hope. Climax brewed at Thanksgiving. We hosted Lena, inviting center friends for a potluck of queer chosen family. Laughter filled the apartment, turkey scents mingling with stories of survival. But mid-meal, Isaiah's phone rang, his mother voice trembling. We're at the airport. Can we talk? Shock rippled. He glanced at me, I nodded. They arrived disheveled, jet-lagged from Idaho, faces etched with resolve and fear. The living room tensed, pie cooling untouched. His father, burly in flannel, sat rigid. Mother fidgeted with her purse. We read your letter, Dad started, eyes on floor. Prayed more. It's hard, son, this lifestyle. But you're our boy. Isaiah's hand found mine under the table anchor. It's not lifestyle, Dad. It's love. Elijah. He's kind, talented. The one who held me when I broke. I spoke then, voice steady. I love your son. Not to change him, but to walk beside. Tears fell. His mother's first, then Dad's gruff admission. We were wrong. Scared. But family. It adapts. It wasn't instant absolution. Questions followed. Awkward probes into how it works. But dialogue opened doors. Tentative bridges over chasms. They stayed 2 days, sharing meals, even attending a center open house. Departure brought hugs, fierce from Mom, backslap from Dad, and a promise. Christmas, all of us. Betrayal transmuted to breakthrough, honesty the alchemist. Winter deepened our bond. Isaiah's team made playoffs, him glowing on sidelines, me in stands with signs. Victory party, he pulled me on stage for a toast. To the man who taught me courage. Cheers erupted, our kiss sealing it. Public, proud. Yet humanity whispers of fragility. Spring revealed Isaiah's health scare. A routine check uncovering early hypertension, stress's toll. Fear gripped us. Doctor's visits blurring into nights of what-ifs. I can't lose you now, I whispered in our waiting room, his hand squeezing mine. Clean bill, but lesson lingered. Life demands cherishing. By summer's return, we'd woven a tapestry, flawed, vibrant. Anniversaries marked with beach trips, poetry readings under stars. Elijah and Isaiah, neighbors turned lovers. Life's honesty our greatest gift. Not perfection, but perseverance. Love's quiet revolution in America's heart. 2 years into our Seattle chapter, the rhythm we'd crafted began to evolve, like a jazz improvisation. Familiar notes twisting into uncharted melodies. Isaiah's coaching career flourished. The Huskies clinched state, his name whispered in athletic circles for mentorship awards. I landed a steady role at a design firm, commuting by ferry, sketches in my bag capturing commuters' faces, inspirations for campaigns that celebrated diversity. Our apartment, once a starter nest, brimmed with life. Plants on sills, his poetry chapbook self-published on the coffee table. My easel in the corner splashed with half-finished works. Romance matured, shedding initial awkwardness for comfortable intimacy. Mornings, he'd wake me with coffee and kisses trailing down my spine. Murmurs of good morning, artist against my skin. Dates varied, fancy dinners at Canlis, where city lights danced on the sound, or low-key hikes in the Olympics, packs with sandwiches and secrets. Sex was an art form now, bodies attuned, laughter as essential as touch, exploring not just desire but devotion. You're my muse, he'd say post-climax, fingers tracing my tattoos, and I'd reply, and you're the poem I never knew I could write. But conflict, ever the dramatist, scripted new acts. Isaiah's bisexuality drew scrutiny from conservative alumni boosters. Emails laced with concern over distractions. One board meeting, A veteran donor cornered him. Heard about your situation. Kids look up to you. Think of the example. Isaiah recounted it later, fury simmering. Example? That I'm human. We debated responses, confront or comply. Settling on a blog post, his words raw. Coaching isn't about perfection. It's about authenticity. My partner, Elijah, teaches me that daily. Backlash came, petitions, whispers, but support surged louder, players wearing rainbow pins, enrollment spiking. Personal betrayal struck closer. An ex from Isaiah's college days. A woman named Riley, resurfaced via Facebook, messages flirty, nostalgic. Miss our nights, she wrote, and he showed me immediately, trust our cornerstone. But jealousy nipped, what if straight pulls stronger? Leading to a rare fight, me accusing, him reassuring with a bonfire at Alki Beach, burning the printout a symbol. Past is ash, he said, arms around me. You're the flame. Humanistic threads wove through, volunteering together at the shelter, where my mural inspired a teen's coming out story, Isaiah facilitating discussions on fluid identity. You changed my life, a kid told him, eyes shining, and Isaiah teared up, pulling me aside. We did this, together. Climax crested in fall, during a regional tournament. Isaiah's team faced rivals from his Idaho hometown, the air thick with history. Pre-game, his parents called, supportive now, but nervous. Win for us, son. The match was brutal, scores tied. Isaiah's plays brilliant but edged with desperation. Halftime locker room roar, he emerged transformed, dedicating the second half to roots and wings. Scoring the winning touchdown himself, no wait, coaching the play that did. Post-victory, reporters swarmed. One probing, Carter, your journey. From small town to out and proud. Advice. He paused, mic in hand, eyes finding me in the crowd. Find your truth. Mine's standing right there. The quote went viral, op-eds praising, detractors decrying. Backlash peaked with a hate call, voicemail ranting slurs, threatening job loss. Isaiah broke that night, vulnerability cracking his armor. Worth it? He asked, curled on our bed. I held him, fierce, every scar, your revolution in cleats. We reported it, community rallied, fundraisers, letters, and the donor who questioned? He resigned, citing mismatch. Resolution bloomed in winter's hush. Isaiah's book deal for a memoir, Gridiron Grace. A coach's queer awakening, with me editing, our story co-narrated. Launch party, packed house, his reading met with standing ovation, parents in front row, teary. To Elijah, he toasted. For seeing me first. Spring brought balance. Therapy winding down, focus shifting to future, adoption talks, dreams of a yard for hypothetical kids. Betrayal's echoes faded, replaced by gratitude's chorus. Life, dramatic and tender, unfolded in America's mosaic. Our love a brushstroke of hope. By our 3rd anniversary, Seattle had imprinted on us like a tattoo, indelible, evolving. The apartment traded for a craftsman bungalow in Fremont, quirky neighborhood of trolls and solstice parades. Our home a blend of his rustic charm and my artistic flair. Exposed beams hung with canvases, kitchen island scarred from collaborative cooking. Isaiah's memoir hit shelves, bestseller in LGBTQ lit, tours taking him to book signings where fans shared stories mirroring ours. You gave me words for my silence. I'd tag along when possible, sketching crowds, pride swelling at his eloquence. Romance, now seasoned, sparked in subtleties. Surprise tickets to a Mariners game. His arm around me in the stands, cheers blending with joy. Lazy Sundays baking bread, flour-dusted kisses. Intimacy deepened, conversations post-love laced with philosophy. Whitman to Baldwin, dissecting identity's fluidity. Love's not destination. He'd muse, head on my chest. It's the road with you. Conflicts arose, inevitable as tides. My career plateaued, imposter syndrome whispering fraud, leading to overwork, snaps at Isaiah over small things. Forgotten dishes, late nights. He called me out gently during a walk by Gasworks Park. Kites dotting sky like dreams. You're enough, Elijah. Let me carry some. Vulnerability followed, Me admitting fears of fading talent, him sharing doubts about fatherhood. Can I be the dad I never had? Joint therapy reignited, tools for communication sharpening our bond. Betrayal's ghost returned via a former player, Jake, outed against his will, blaming Isaiah's visibility for scrutiny. Confrontation over beers turned ugly, Jake slurring, "You made it okay to be weak." Isaiah reeled, questioning impact. "Did I harm more than help?" We dissected it, me affirming, "You lit paths. Some stumble, not your burden." Jake apologized weeks later, therapy his own, reconciliation a testament to ripple effects. Humanism shown in community. Mentoring program we co-founded, True Plays, blending art and sports for queer youth. Sessions in the park, kids painting plays, Isaiah coaching with inclusivity. One event, a mural unveiling, parents gathered, tears as stories shared. "Thanks to you too," my son smiles. Climax unfolded at a national conference, Isaiah keynoting on queer athletics. Crowd electric, Q&A probing. "How'd you know it was real?" He paused, voice steady. "When honesty hurt more than hiding." Elijah, my partner, my compass, showed me. Applause thundered, but post-talk, a heckler shouted slurs, security escorting him out. Isaiah froze on stage, mic trembling. I rushed up, hand on his arm. "Breathe, you're here." The moment pivoted, him reclaiming, "Hate's loud, but love's louder." Questions. Dialogue flowed, turning venom to victory. Aftermath. Media frenzy. Supportive op-eds. But exhaustion hit. Home we crashed, his head in my lap. "Couldn't without you." Recovery involved unplugging, road trip to Idaho, confronting roots. His parents' farm. Awkward at first, eased into barbecues. Dad admitting, "Proud of your fight, son." Closure, bittersweet. Summer closed with adoption classes, nerves and excitement mingling. Life's drama. Emotional valleys, romantic peaks. Affirmed our path, humanistic in its mess. Two men, loving fiercely, changing lives one honest step. 4 years in, our life in Fremont pulsed with purpose. The bungalow now echoing with foster kid visits. Trial runs for family. Isaiah's second book, Field of Hearts, co-authored with me, explored partnership in queerness, launches intimate, feedback profound. Your story normalizes mine. Coaching evolved. He consulted for leagues on inclusivity, traveling less, home more for our rituals, movie nights with popcorn fights, balcony stargazing, debating constellations. Romance remained vital. Anniversaries at Cannon Beach, recreating proposals with updated vows. Through betrayals and breakthroughs, I choose you. Intimacy, ever tender, wove gratitude. Slow mornings, explorations affirming connection. Words as foreplay. Conflicts tempered us. Foster placement. A teen named Riley, irony noted, grappling with identity. Tested patience, her walls high, outbursts frequent. Isaiah bonded over sports. Me through art, but a blow-up. Her accusing us of faking normal. Reopened wounds. Are we enough? I asked post-crisis, her in counseling. Isaiah hugged tight. We're real. That's the gift. She stayed, thawing, our family forming organically. Betrayal's final echo. A tabloid hit piece, twisting Isaiah's journey into scandal. Dredging exes, family. Calls flooded, support mostly. But Dad's voice cracked online. Ignore him. We're with you. We responded with a podcast, raw dialogue on resilience, turning narrative ours. Humanistic core shone brightest in Riley's adoption. Court day, her hand in ours, judge smiling. Love like yours heals. Celebrations spilled into community, true plays expanding, lives touched. Climax, subtle now. A health scare for me. Routine scan flagging anomaly, vigil in waiting room, Isaiah's prayers whispered. Benign, but epiphany. Time's finite. Love eternal. We traveled post, New York pride. Hands held in parades. America's diversity embraced. Ending humanistic, not tragic but profound. Gray hairs creeping, but passion undimmed. One evening, porch swing creaking. Riley inside with friends. Isaiah recited new poem. From neighbors to now, your honesty remade me. In this life, vast as stars, your home. I kissed him, tears salt sweet. Changed? Utterly. For the better, dramatic, emotional, romantic, true. In America's weave, our thread, gay, gritty, graceful, reminds. Honesty bridges divides. Love redeems betrayals. Humanity endures.